Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. As you can see, I am back home, finally. And a quick shout out to my newest patrons, Walt, Brendan, Vikram, Zach, Orville, Lawrence, Evan, Vincent, Randall, Flowmaster, and Vincent. Thank you guys very much for the support. I will have a quick update at the end of today's episode on some things going on, so stay tuned for that. First up today, a quick mention of what to watch for in the stock market this week. So as you can see, the government's October retail sales data Tuesday. Tomorrow is the big economic report for the week. And based on the latest consumer sentiment data Friday, shoppers are getting worried about rising prices. This is always important to keep in mind as we specifically look at the Tesla stock price. More in a moment. And before we get into anything else, I have to at least touch on this briefly. So Elon's comments to Bernie Sanders, where he said, "I keep forgetting that you're still alive." And he continued later, "Bernie is a taker, not a maker." So honestly, slightly disheartening, all of the news coverage about Tesla and Elon over the last few weeks. It's really gotten to a point where it's so much noise and very little on the fundamentals or the actual exciting stuff that's going on at Tesla. The innovation and the stuff that I really want to cover. I don't want to talk about this stuff. It really is so petty on the surface. And all I really want to say here, regardless of how you feel about Bernie or politics and everything going on, tweets like this from Elon, I really can't support. Me personally, I like to be more of a peacemaker. Now, yes, there are absolutely times to take a stand and fight for the truth, but tweets like this aren't really doing anybody any good. And this tweet has rubbed many people the wrong way because, as I mentioned, whether you like him or not, Bernie Sanders is a very popular politician. But either way, this move by Elon is just not in good taste. So for me personally, I would just prefer Elon take the high road in cases like this and just be a little bit more classy. But that's just me. How do you guys feel about it? And then just recently, Elon added, okay, how much do you think is fair? Does 53% seem reasonable? Which is basically what Elon is paying. So look, yes, nobody is perfect. Clearly, Elon is at a point where he's frustrated with the narrative and the attacks that have been coming at him and Tesla, not just the past few weeks, but really months and years. And honestly, I think a lot of that is just coming to a head right now. But let's get into some actual Tesla news. So as you can see over the weekend, Tesla began installing Starlink satellites at different supercharger locations. So we have one in Lisbon, Connecticut, and then another in Lake City, Florida, and then a third in Long Island, New York. Now, this is actually much more important than just having Wi-Fi at superchargers, and I'll explain why momentarily. But this news comes just a few weeks after Elon said that yes, all superchargers will indeed have Wi-Fi access. So we have to think about this. Right now, Tesla has their $10 per month premium connectivity that offers their LTE service. So presumably Tesla is paying per gigabyte of data. Now, sure, they're probably paying cheaper rates than the average consumer, but if they can transfer this data usage from LTE over to Starlink Wi-Fi, they would presumably have lower costs here, which will of course save them money. And then on top of that, they could be able to add a new subscription feature for non-Tesla owners at these superchargers. And this move could also help to make supercharger locations act as a hub for downloading software updates. So this is great to see, and one more small step to make the supercharging experience that much better relative to the competition. Hopefully Tesla can start to scale this somewhat quickly. Next up, EV Offer on Twitter shared a video of the Model Y cargo cover that is now going to come standard. I know people are mixed on this, as some people think it's a pain and just something you have to find a place to store, especially when you have bigger items in the trunk that won't fit with a cargo cover. Other people love the privacy. Let me know, would you guys want one, yes or no? And a quick note on something that Elon said late Friday night. The founding story of Tesla as portrayed by Martin Eberhard is patently false. I wish I had never met him. Eberhard is by far the worst person I've ever worked with in my entire career. Given how many people I've worked with over the years, that's really saying something. He continued, he came close to killing Tesla through a combination of bad management decisions, driving out talented people, bad engineering, major blunders in supply chain, and an elaborate deception about the true cost and schedule of the Tesla Roadster. But the reason I'm sharing this is because of this. Then Elon said, thinking of doing a podcast, hardcore history style, that tells what really happened at Tesla in those early years. And then Rob chimed in, I know of a podcast that could facilitate that, so I personally would love to see this. So moving on, a very insightful tweet from Gary Black here with regard to Elon selling his shares. So yes, Elon is probably not done selling, which is going to add some downward pressure on the Tesla stock price, presumably for the next few weeks. But listen to what he says. I get that Tesla's short-term moves are irrelevant to Elon, but why give your playbook to shorts and allow them to profit by front-running your sales? Every day, Elon sells on average 1.2 million shares and is just 37% through his 17 million sale order, if he indeed does sell that 10%. Please clip the shorts and do a secondary. Now, a secondary stock offering can take a few forms. It can be non-dilutive, like it would be the case for Elon, because those shares already exist, and it would just be an insider of a company liquidating those shares to the public or institutions, and then that money or those proceeds would go to the owner of the shares. Or you could have a dilutive secondary offering where they essentially create new shares and then sell those to the public. But I think what Gary is getting at is that typically a secondary offering happens very fast in a compressed amount of time. Right now, the problem is that everybody knows that Elon is doing this stock sale kind of slowly and drawn out a little bit each day, which gives traders the opportunity to profit from those sales, as we'll get to here in a second. But what Gary's saying, if Elon just did a secondary offering, it would happen shorter and basically cut out all of these people profiting on the downward pressure on Tesla stock right now. Gary continues, unless Elon's plan is to drive Tesla's price down to pay lower taxes on the exercise of his options, split the stock, and then those newly exercised shares are accorded to long-term capital gains treatment rather than far higher ordinary income rates when Tesla soars. But with regard to the secondary, he said it stops the slow bleed. Hedge funds stop front-running Elon's sales. Elon selling 2% of the float, Tesla is down 17% in a week. No other company sells a 2% block like this. So simply put, the way that Elon is selling Tesla stock right now, drawn out over days publicly where people know what's going on, this is giving short sellers an opportunity to buy weekly puts on Tesla and then profit from this stock sale of Elon. Whereas if he would just do a secondary offering that does all of the sale in a shorter amount of time, almost more like in a block type of sale, it would reduce some of that downward pressure on Tesla stock price, which is leading Gary and many others to think that he might be doing it on purpose to drive down the price of Tesla stock for whatever reason. And let's not forget, back in 2013, Mark Zuckerberg said he was selling 41 million shares that he held personally in a secondary offering to the public. And doing this, Mark raised about $2.3 billion, and he said that he was using part of the proceeds to pay a tax bill. And guys, just some real quick context here. Yes, Tesla is down 5% on the day, down under $1,000 per share, but let's just go back and look at the month of October. So to keep things in the proper context, October started at this yellow line right here. And just for the month of October, as you can see, it was up about 43% in 1 month. And yes, from the open of Tesla in November to where we're at today, it's down about 13%. But if you go from just the beginning of October to where we're at today, Tesla is still up 28% in just about 6 weeks. So let's just slow down, look at the bigger picture, not get too worked up over these short-term headwinds. Next up, it looks like the latest Tesla software update now has a feature that will tell you if your vehicle will be enabled for CCS adaptive charging. So I would assume that the CCS adapter for the United States should show up on the Tesla shop sometime here in the near future, which will just give Tesla owners ability to charge at stations outside of the supercharging network like EVgo and Electrify America. Next up, over the weekend, we got news that some Teslas are actually being delivered without the USB charging ports in the front part of the vehicle where you set your phone down to charge, and additionally that the wireless charging is not working, yes, due to the chip shortage. Now, yes, Tesla has come out and said that they will retrofit this feature. However, the problem here is that according to reporting from different users, Tesla owners were not notified of this change. Tesla seemingly just delivered these vehicles without any notification, and users are only finding this out from looking at their cars. And here's an image shared by a user on Reddit. As you can see, the holes are there, but there's nothing to plug your cord into. But as mentioned, due to some anecdotal evidence like this chat right here, Well, at least will it be retrofit for free? And Robbie says, yes, we will retrofit the USB hubs after delivery free of charge. But to that same point, this is happening industry-wide, so GM is removing heated seats from crossovers and pickups due to the chip shortage. And this feature deletion from GM will go into effect today, Monday, November 15th, and will affect over a dozen nameplates like the Chevy Blazer, the Equinox, the Canyon, and the GMC Terrain. Customers affected by these changes will receive some kind of credit compensation, which could range between $150 and $500. It's also possible that some models may be retrofitted with those heated and ventilated seats when the parts become available. Someone on Reddit asked what this circular speed limit sign means with an exclamation mark. I believe it's when the system detects something and only allows that to be the speed. It's just notifying you that it's slower than the posted speed limit. Other users have suggested it might be something like a school zone when the speed limit is lower during certain times of day, or it could even be a mapping issue, as this is something that is seen in European locations. But if you have any extra insight, please let us know below. Next up, just a quick shout out here to Callus EV on YouTube. She did a great video here comparing Tesla's FSD 10.4 to Waymo. I've linked the video below, and she has some very solid other EV and Tesla related content, so go subscribe to her channel if you're interested. And from Alex on Twitter, Europe battery electric vehicle registrations. Tesla outpaced VW in the third quarter of this year with 45,900 registrations compared to VW's 42,300. ID4 registrations shrunk by 5,000 units in quarter 3 year over year. 2021 Tesla sold almost as many BEVs in Europe as the Volkswagen brand. It's likely that Tesla will overtake Volkswagen in 2021. And if this production information is correct from Moneyball on Twitter, that would give us 27,660 Model 3s produced in October in China, where yes, we had a few day shutdown at the beginning of the month, and the Model Y figure would be 27,894, giving us a total production figure for October out of Shanghai of 55,554 units, once again with a multi-day shutdown. So as we've been saying, this is a big number and should set us up for a very exciting quarter 4. And over the weekend, Elon commented about the semi-deliveries from the comment that the Pepsi CEO made. But Elon said, please don't read too much into this. As mentioned publicly, Tesla is constrained by chip supply short-term and cell supply long-term. Not possible to produce additional vehicles in volume until both constraints are addressed. So I think Elon is just saying, don't think the Semi is coming in volume production now, but this does not mean that Tesla won't deliver a few semis between 5 and 20 sometime in quarter 4 of this year. I think that is still on the table, in my opinion. Next up, Toyota is continuing their push to keep internal combustion engine vehicles relevant with a new consortium of sorts, which is going to be called Team Japan. Basically, this is a coalition of 5 Japanese companies that will explore new, greener fueling options for internal combustion engines. This will bring together Toyota, Subaru, Mazda, and motorcycle makers Kawasaki Heavy Industries and Yamaha. And Toyota has said that it believes technological breakthroughs like hydrogen engines can give internal combustion a new lease on life, saving jobs as well as the environment. Next up, the Lucid Air wins the 2022 Motor Trend Car of the Year. So congratulations to the Lucid team. I honestly think that this car is worthy of the award. And yes, I've linked this article below if you would like to read further. Shifting gears to Rivian, they may be building a new EV plant in Georgia. Rivian is in late stage discussions to open a vehicle manufacturing and battery plant east of Atlanta along I-20. But these negotiations are not yet final and the details could change. There's really no other information given as far as detail, but something to watch for sure. And I know many of you out there have been eagerly awaiting the Polestar SPAC deal, which we should be getting sometime early 22, as they are going to go public via a merger with the SPAC Goris Guggenheim Inc. So sometime next year, Polestar will be publicly traded on the NASDAQ, and they announced that they are looking to expand sales to 290,000 vehicles by the end of 2025. But that is all for today. Please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. And a quick update, because it has been impacting my ability to make Patreon content and even better electrified content. Ashley and I now are finally back home. Ashley's feeling much better. She's out of the hospital. No surgery required for now. Thank you all for the thoughts and prayers. However, now back home, our mother-in-law who lives with us is sick, might have the you know what, so we've been disinfecting the house and trying to unpack, and our house is totally torn up. We were supposed to have some people come over to do some work on the house, but we told them to wait just to be safe. But the punchline here is that my life has been all over the place over the last week or so, and over the next few days, it's gonna take some time for me to get back to normal, to have the time that I want to put into the content and specifically the Patreon content as well. So thank you all for your patience. Hopefully sometime early next week, things will be settled, everything will be okay, and I can put the time and effort that I would like to in all of the content. So once again, thanks for your patience. I'll talk to you guys soon.